Attention, Birds Nation. Things are heating up in Philly this week, and the buzz coming out of the Eagles' nest is guaranteed to fire up every fan. When Howie Roseman is at the helm, big decisions are always on the horizon, and one of them needs to be made before August really takes off. Preseason is knocking, and honestly, I'm counting down the seconds to see the Eagles soar once again. If you believe we're heading back to the Super Bowl, smash that like button and show your faith. Go Birds! In Howie we trust. Micah Parsons has officially submitted a trade request to the Dallas Cowboys. And no, this is not one of those speculative headlines or rumor-fueled distractions. This is real. It's serious. And it could shake the entire structure of the NFC East, especially for us, the Philadelphia Eagles. The fallout of this situation could be monumental. Here's what we know. Parsons took to social media and dropped a bombshell in the form of an iPhone notepad statement, confirming that he no longer wants to play for Dallas. This comes after a stretch of deteriorating negotiations, broken trust, and what appears to be months of behind-the-scenes tension between Parsons, his agent, and the Cowboys' front office. What started as quiet frustration evolved into full-blown discord. Parsons feels disrespected, he feels ignored, and most of all, he feels betrayed. The timing of all this couldn't be worse for Dallas. We're just a couple of weeks into training camp, and the Cowboys are trying to install a brand new system under a first-year head coach. Instead, their best defensive player, a four-time Pro Bowler and perennial Defensive Player of the Year candidate, is on the sidelines. Not practicing, publicly calling out the front office, and turning what should be a time of focus and preparation into a front-page mess. And let's not forget, this is Micah Parsons we're talking about. This isn't some mid-tier edge rusher with potential. This is one of the top defensive players in all of football, and he's only 26 years old. The Cowboys had the chance to lock him up early. According to Parsons himself, he was willing to take a deal before the market exploded. He even admitted that he'd have left money on the table to stay a Cowboy. But they stalled. They didn't negotiate in good faith. They ignored his agent. They tried to handle it internally with Jerry Jones talking to Parsons one-on-one without the proper negotiation process. And that's where everything blew up. When his agent tried to follow up after that conversation with Jerry, the Cowboys claimed a deal had already been made. That wasn't true. And then radio silence. No texts, no calls, no emails, nothing. Dallas ghosted their superstar. Now, Parsons wants out. He has submitted a formal trade request to Stephen Jones, and we know this isn't some ploy to apply pressure or leverage a better contract. He doesn't just want more money, he wants out of that building. He's had enough.
For Eagles fans, this is more than just a headline. This could directly impact our season. We play the Cowboys twice. Parsons is always a problem off the edge, always a threat to disrupt Jalen Hurts and our offensive rhythm. If he's not there, that changes everything. But what if he is there, just on our side? Let's be real. The idea of the Cowboys trading Micah Parsons to the Eagles is laughable. Jerry Jones might be stubborn. He might be slipping. But even he knows better than to send a generational defensive talent to a division rival that already runs the East. That said, don't rule out Howie Roseman. The man has draft capital. He is player capital. He's aggressive. He's opportunistic. And if there's even a sliver of a chance to steal Micah Parsons from Dallas, you better believe he's going to pick up the phone. Let's talk draft assets for a second. The Eagles are loaded. We're looking at multiple third-rounders, several fifth-rounders, and comp picks projected all over the board. That's a war chest any GM would love. Add in our deep, talented, young roster, and suddenly the Eagles are one of the only teams in the NFL capable of putting together a trade package that could actually make Dallas pause, even if only for a second. But again, would Jerry do it? Probably not. Still, the very fact that it's even a topic of conversation is a testament to how dysfunctional things have gotten in Dallas. You don't let a player like this get to this point. You don't turn a franchise cornerstone into an enemy. But that's exactly what's happened here. And it's not just bad for the Cowboys from a roster standpoint, it's an organizational nightmare. You've got a new head coach trying to implement his scheme, a locker room that has to be wondering what's going on, and a fan base that's watching this implosion in real time. All of that instability, it bleeds into the performance on the field. And for us, that's huge. The Eagles are built on structure, communication, leadership, from top to bottom. From Jeffrey Lurie to Howie to Sirianni, this is a franchise that knows how to treat its stars and how to keep the main thing the main thing. Dallas? They're letting drama define their preseason. And let's not overlook how personal this is for Parsons. In his statement, he talked about growing up a Cowboys fan in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He talked about wanting to make them America's team again. But now, he's done. He called out the team for running backdoor negotiations, leaking narratives to the media, and disrespecting his injury history. This isn't posturing. This is a player who has burned the bridge himself and walked away. And just to drive the point home, he's not even hiding behind his agent anymore. He wrote the message himself. Raw, direct, unfiltered. He wants out. Now, so here we are. One of the most dominant defenders in football is available, at least in theory. And the NFC East may never look the same again. If Parsons lands with a team like San Francisco, Baltimore, or God forbid, someone like Detroit, that alters the playoff picture. But if he somehow, someway, ends up in midnight green, what do you think, Eagles fans? Should Howie go all in and at least make the call? Would you be willing to part with key draft picks or players to bring in a talent like Parsons? How do you see this drama in Dallas playing out, and what does it mean for Philly? Let's pick up right where we left off, because this situation with Micah Parsons isn't cooling down, it's accelerating. And as Eagles fans, we need to keep our eyes locked on how this could all unfold in the coming days and weeks. If you think this saga is over just because the trade request has been made, you're mistaken. The fire has just been lit, and now it's about to burn across the league. So what happens next? Well, it starts with leverage. Parsons has essentially gone nuclear, publicly scorched the Cowboys front office, detailed their missteps, and confirmed that he no longer wants to wear the star on his helmet. That gives him leverage in the public eye. But what does it really mean behind closed doors? Technically, the Cowboys don't have to trade him. They can hold his rights, fine him if he holds out, and make things uglier. But here's the thing. The Cowboys are in a no-win position. If they keep him, they've got a disgruntled star who doesn't want to be there, who won't give them his best, and who could cause even more drama internally. If they trade him, they're admitting failure and possibly handing another team a championship-caliber piece. Now, let's pivot back to Philadelphia. We already talked about the ammo. But what makes the Eagles so dangerous in this kind of situation isn't just what they have, it's who they are. Howie Roseman doesn't wait. He moves before other GMs even know what's happening. Remember A.J. Brown? The Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade? Kevin Byard? This team is constantly one step ahead, and Parsons would be the ultimate strike. But beyond the cap space, the picks, and the roster flexibility, there's the culture. The Eagles know how to integrate stars. We're not talking about a fragile locker room. We've got Jalen Hurts, arguably the most grounded, respected leader in the league. We've got veterans like Lane Johnson, Brendan Graham, Jason Kelce before he retired, all of whom helped build a locker room where egos don't survive unless they're backed up with effort, humility, and performance. Parsons wouldn't walk into a circus. He'd walk into a system, and that could be the best thing for him and for us. Now, don't get me wrong. This is still the NFL. Rival teams rarely make trades like this, especially not inside the division. But what if the Cowboys get desperate? What if they can't find the right deal outside the NFC East? What if Parsons tells them he'll only sign long-term with a select group of teams? That matters. A trade is